Talk a little bit about why you were interested in this project when I sent you that email.
I think, well, because of my own story and how I was raised in regards to viewing my sexuality and the things that I heard in the church and didn't hear in the church, I think the idea of being part of a dialogue or a place where people can come and hear actual real stories that are redemptive and that are healthy and good and true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a big deal to me, and it just sounded like, I don't know, life-giving to me.
What were some of the messages that you received that weren't so helpful to you? And what was the effect on you think?
Well, I would say, I think the first message I ever heard about sex itself was that boys want it and keep your legs crossed. Don't give it to them. So I automatically had in my mind of sex that was something that I needed to be really careful of, and that was the only thing that boys wanted from me. That seemed to be a message that got further nailed into my mind, that was the one thing boys would want. I would say in the church, the messages that I got once I stepped into the church was that if I had sexual desire, that it was a result of me wanting to be loved, that it didn't have anything actually to do about sex, that it was about me as a woman wanting to give sex to get love, and that men would give me that love in order to get sex. So there was really no, I didn't have any understanding or any connection to the fact that I actually had sexual desire. It was just a completely shut down thing. And sadly enough, I think after I got married, it really got shut down, because I had been prepped, in addition to that previous message about sex, I had been prepped to know that sex was something your husband would want and you needed to give it to him. Again, there was no, and you're going to want it too, if it's good. You're not going to want it if it's boring or bad. So I shut it down. I completely shut it down. I remember going to a women's group where I was straight out told that if you've had sex before marriage, you'll never get over it. That you'll never get over it. It was the same group that I heard the message, you just need to sacrifice for your husband. Pick one day a week and take all day long if you need to. No, I'm not joking. Take all day long to prepare yourself. If you have, whatever you have to do, just get yourself in the mindset from the moment you wake up that you're going to gift your husband with this. You're going to gift your husband with this. I know, it's crazy. There was no thought that maybe he could gift me with something. So yeah, those were some of the messages I received.
Wow.
Yeah. Sexual women who desired sex, those were dangerous women. And that was perpetuated, I think, by just so many of the stories that I grew up with, and the pictures, and the, some of the movies and different things where it's the sweet, girl that, doesn't know she's beautiful and is sort of withdrawn and timid. And it's the, the bombshell, woman vixen that's, looking to sleep with all your boyfriends, that she's the dangerous woman. But the woman that is not yet in touch with her, that her desire has not been awakened by the love of her life, that she's the one that you want. She's the honorable woman. The other woman is not. So I definitely didn't want to be that woman. So I shut that down.
Wow. So when did you begin to question, and what has been your process over the years of reclaiming you as a sexual being, and even inside the context of your faith as a faithful woman?
I think I felt anger before I actually started to question. So a lot of those things, a lot of the messages I got, something stirred me and I was angry about it. But honestly, it wasn't until I sat in that women's group and heard, if you've had sex before marriage, you'll never get over it. that really made me mad. And I think that was the first time I actually spoke up and said, how small is your God? And so, and I was not supportive. The crickets were chirping after I said that. And I said, I don't think that's true. And I was assured that it was. And I think that's when I started really questioning and thinking, now wait a minute. Thinking about myself, my body, and honestly recalling a time when I did have sexual desire, and kind of the steps that I went through to kind of denounce that in a sense. And those all seemed to come to mind at that point. I started replaying some of those things and realized that at one point in my life, I did have sexual desire. I did like sex, and it wasn't because I had a bad relationship with my dad or he didn't affirm me enough. I mean, he affirmed me a lot. He always told me I was beautiful and smart, and had great confidence in his love for me. And I think that the steps for me were really pretty slow. I think that process for me started, I was probably 34, maybe 33 years old. And so it's been like a 10-year process. I think that I've had different moments, people who have spoken into my life. I remember particular this one pastor who's a well-known vineyard pastor who was doing a workshop, and he happened to talk in the content. It wasn't the focus of the workshop, but in the workshop he talked about how women were beautiful and that we were designed to be beautiful and to reflect an aspect of God's beauty, and that we shouldn't hide it, that it's not something that's dangerous, that it's something that's really good and honoring. And I was blown away. And I remember going up to him and talking to him afterwards and saying, did you really mean that? Is that really true? Because I've always felt like when I'm around large groups of Christians, especially in the context of pastoring, that I've got to tone it down. I have to, and I did. Whenever I was in large groups of Christians, I would not wear much makeup. I would really be careful about what I wore. And he said, oh no, it's okay to be beautiful. And that began. So I had several moments like that. I think being able to acknowledge that my desire was good, and that I could ask for things, that this was a partnership, that this wasn't just about me giving something to my husband, which I'm grateful that that's not how he ever saw it. But I never brought my voice to that part, to our sexual relationship. I never felt like I could claim anything. I never felt like I could say, you know what, that's not working for me. And it hasn't for the last 5 years. Edit that. I feel like that is still continuing to be a growing process. But what I have found is that as I've embraced that desire and really just explored it and enjoyed it and let it grow, I've had desire and excitement and passion for other things that are connected to me, not just in my sexuality, but across the board. I feel like I'm waking up more and more and more.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Talk a little bit about what you've come to believe is God's intent in the gift of sexual desire and sexuality.
I think his intent is that we enjoy it, that we delight in the bodies, that we are delighted in our bodies, and in the body of the person that we're spending the rest of our life with. I think that is his intent, that it's something that we just get to enjoy. But I think really it's supposed to be fun. It's not just about making babies, and it's not just about, satisfying your animal husband and so that he doesn't cheat on you. Yeah, that's another one.
Right. What's your hope for others to know so that they can get to a place where they can thank God for sex? What do you hope for them so that they don't have to necessarily go through some of what you've been through?
I think my hope is that they know that their desire is good. That it's not, doesn't mean they're an animal, doesn't mean they're a whore. It doesn't mean they're somehow lacking in some other area of their life, somehow lacking in their faith, somehow lacking in the relationship with God, that they have this desire and this need. That's a desire and need that God gave them. And it's good.
Mm-hmm.